Welcome to this explainer. We're jumping right into the rapidly escalating military conflict between the U.S. and Iran. We are officially on day 144, and honestly, the sheer volume of breaking news right now is just overwhelming. But with global security, massive supply chains, and the wider economy all on the line, this is something that genuinely matters to all of us. So let's cut through the noise and break down exactly what's happening using the latest data, direct statements, and the actual reality on the ground.
To really wrap your head around the sheer momentum of this situation, you just need to consider this number: 11. We're now looking at the 11th consecutive night of U.S. airstrikes on Iran. It's a severe intensification in a conflict that has completely gripped the Middle East since the fighting resumed back in July. After a temporary memorandum of understanding about the Strait of Hormuz broke down, the physical combat has literally been nonstop.
So, here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the cycle of retaliation. Second, targeting civilian infrastructure. Third, the nuclear flashpoint. Fourth, the costs of war. And finally, the global ripple effects.
Okay, let's start with Section 1, the cycle of retaliation and these tit-for-tat military strikes.
The day-to-day reality of this conflict is currently trapped in a relentless action and reaction loop. Basically, Step 1. The U.S., using Central Command, executes very targeted strikes on military infrastructure right inside Iran. We're talking aircraft hangars and drone storage facilities, which immediately activates air defenses near Tehran. Then, Step 2. Iran instantly counters. But instead of trying to strike the U.S. homeland, they project their power outward. They fire retaliatory drones at U.S. military installations hosted in neighboring Middle Eastern countries.
Let's get specific about where those retaliatory strikes are actually landing. Iran's military claims they've launched overnight drone operations targeting 3 highly strategic regional locations. They hit housing and equipment warehouses at the Muwafiq Salti Air Base in Jordan. They went after heavy aircraft maintenance sheds at the Isa Air Base in Bahrain, and they struck U.S. military assets at Camp Doha in Kuwait. It's pretty stunning when you realize that a bilateral conflict between 2 nations is instantly spilling over into 3 completely different sovereign countries.
Now, what is absolutely fascinating here is the stark contrast in how both leaderships view this reality. The U.S. stance, which was recently articulated by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, is that Iran's military capabilities have been significantly weakened by these relentless U.S. operations. But Iran's acting defense minister is insisting the exact opposite. He says that going up against advanced U.S. technology has forced Iranian innovation into overdrive, turning the battlefield into a launch pad for advancing their very own indigenous defense tech. It's just an incredible clash of perspectives on how this war is actually playing out.
Moving on to Section 2. Let's look at targeting civilian infrastructure, escalating threats, and military law.
The rhetoric surrounding this whole conflict has escalated so dramatically. Former U.S. President Donald Trump recently took to Truth Social to issue a very explicit, very public threat. He stated that from this point forward, if Iran uses any weapon, a missile, a rocket, a drone, against a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. will, quote, bomb and destroy one bridge or power plant, and he specifically noted that these targets would include infrastructure located directly in or right next to the Iranian capital of Tehran.
Now here's why that matters. That kind of rhetoric crosses a very distinct line into incredibly legally complex territory. Military law experts have actively stepped forward to warn that deliberately targeting civil infrastructure, especially civilian power plants, may actually constitute a war crime under international law. It fundamentally shifts the entire nature of the conflict when essential civilian services get placed on a target list right alongside military drone storage facilities.
Which brings us to Section 3, the nuclear flashpoint, the standoff at Pickaxe Mountain.
Central to this entire standoff is a location widely known as Pickaxe Mountain. This is a heavily fortified site located right in the Natanz area of Iran. The intelligence community, along with various reports, suggest that Iran has specifically moved its stockpile of enriched uranium, alongside potentially thousands of uranium enrichment centrifuges, straight to this location, just to protect them from aerial bombardment.
And just like we saw with the military assessments earlier, the approaches to Pickaxe Mountain couldn't possibly be further apart. On one hand, Donald Trump has directly threatened that the U.S. will be hitting that area very probably pretty soon, and hitting it heavily, basically saying there is nothing Iran can do about it. Conversely, the Iranian approach, coming from Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Baghai, aggressively rejects these claims. Baghai actually accuses the U.S. of having a pathological focus on the site just as an excuse for destruction. He maintains that all of Iran's nuclear activities are already fully declared to the UN's nuclear watchdog.
Consequently, Iran has drawn a firm, absolute red line in the sand. Iran's Joint Top Military Command issued a stark warning. Any strike on its nuclear facilities, including Pickaxe Mountain, will absolutely not be treated as a localized tactical strike. Instead, they say it will be considered a massive expansion of the war, which would trigger immediate, widespread attacks on all U.S. interests operating anywhere in the Gulf.
All of this naturally leads us into Section 4, the costs of war, the financial and human toll.
Because the toll of this 144-day conflict is staggering. For the United States, the primary reported cost is heavily financial. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth just recently confirmed to a Senate committee that Washington has already spent an astounding $37.5 billion on this engagement. That is a massive number. For Iran, though, the reported metrics reflect a devastating human toll. Since the fighting resumed back in early July, Iran's health ministry reports 53 people have been killed by U.S. airstrikes. Tragically, that includes 6 women and 3 minors under the age of 18. Furthermore, 592 Iranians have been injured. This really anchors all these abstract geopolitical strategies into very real, very heavy human consequences. To further emphasize the scale of destruction currently unfolding, just think about the number 25. In recent comments, Donald Trump claimed that if the United States were to completely withdraw its forces right now, today, the damage inflicted so far means it would take Iran up to 25 years just to rebuild. And right after stating that, he immediately noted that the U.S. is, quote, not finished at all.
Finally, we have Section 5, Global Ripple Effects, How the Conflict is Spreading.
A really practical way to understand how this conflict is bleeding across borders is just by looking at commercial aviation. Due to the sustained increase in combat activity, the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, ESA, has straight up advised commercial airlines to avoid the airspace over Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, the UAE, Iran, Iraq, and Lebanon. But notice the latest development here. Jordan has now been newly added to this no-fly zone following those retaliatory drone strikes we talked about earlier. The physical map of safe travel in the Middle East is rapidly shrinking. And for everyday people around the world, that means massive flight reroutes, huge travel delays, and serious supply chain disruptions.
And those ripple effects extend way beyond the Middle East, pulling in major global superpowers. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has publicly leveled accusations that both Russia and China are, at different levels, enabling Iran's military actions and providing support. On the flip side, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov vehemently denies these reports that Moscow and Beijing are supplying weapons to Tehran. Lavrov insists that this conflict isn't in anyone's interest at all, and he warns that the continuous disruption in the Strait of Hormuz is actively harming the global economy.
So, all of this information leads us to a highly complex endgame. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has stated that the U.S. would actually prefer a diplomatic settlement, hoping for an agreement where Iran ceases sponsoring terrorism and abandons its nuclear pursuits. Yet, he simultaneously declares that a nuclear-armed Iran is fundamentally unacceptable and simply can't happen, pointing out a deep lack of confidence in Tehran's willingness to even negotiate. So as we look at the immense financial costs, the mounting civilian casualties, and this tightening web of global involvement we've mapped out today, we're left with a really provocative question. Will the absolute U.S. declaration that a nuclear-armed Iran is unacceptable inevitably override its stated preference for diplomacy? That's the question we're left with. Thanks for joining this explainer, and keep questioning what you see in the headlines.